a silent remembrance of the souls that were lost 17 years ago in terrorist attacks in New York, and maybe we just honor them for a moment. Thank you. I also want to, let's remember the people that ran into those buildings, helping those folks and the families that are still up. I'm the media chair for RCONA. It's the Roseville Coalition of Neighborhood Associations. Public benefit community organization representing all the Roseville neighborhood associations. I think presently we have 16 active neighborhood associations. And in conjunction with the League of Women Voters, we try to hold these events every year. There's a candidate for city council. And if you need more information, please visit our website at RCONA.org. And quickly, I wanted to introduce the RCONA board, since most of them are here. First of all, there's Werner Kuhn, who's our president of RCONA. Jim Kidd, who's our vice president. So over here, Sue Cook, she's our secretary and our treasurer. Scott Alford, who's a member at large, walking back here with the coffee. Robert Sanchez, who's another member at large. Kevin LaChance, Kevin. We have Lauren Cook. Lauren Cook is our technical director and webmaster. And April, is April still here? I think she booked that. Okay, she's our activity director. Again, I take care of their media and promotions. I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce the League of Women Voters. We have Brandy Swisley, Pam Hart, and Angela Torrance, who's the president of the League of Women Voters. I'll let you take it from there.
Well, thank you very much for having us, and thank you every single person who's here tonight. This is the definition of democracy. We appreciate all the candidates who came. We appreciate all the citizens who are concerned about local government coming to learn more about things as well. What I wanted to do is give you a brief overview of what the League of Women Voters does. It was formed in 1920 when women got the right to vote. And their main concern was to learn more about the issues. The last thing they wanted to do is be told how to vote. And so what they really did is kind of created like a study group where they just studied all the issues and taught each other about the issues so that they could go off and vote the way they really wanted to. And the organization has never lost that premise. So we still never have been involved with any candidates or any political parties. You will see some advocacy around propositions on the ballot. Not always all of them, but if we spend a lot of time and effort investigating certain propositions, we may come out recommending for or against them in some cases. I'm with the League of Women Voters of Placer County, as are the other three women here with me. And the League of Women Voters of Placer County is never opposed or for any issues. We have just chosen to only be an educational organization. Then it makes it a lot easier for us to be unbiased when we're in situations when we explain what the ballot propositions are. So tonight we're going to be hearing from 4 candidates for your city council, and Pam will be reading opening statements from 2 that could not make it. You want to do that now, Pam?
Is this on?
Hold this.
Okay, I think people can hear this? This one is from David Larson. I wish to thank RCONA and the League of Women Voters for Placer County for organizing and moderating this event. Unfortunately, I am not able to attend this evening due to traveling out of state. Why I want to serve. While Roseville is indeed a great place to live, work, and to raise our families, the city faces a host of challenges. A weakened economy, traffic congestion, growth, and cuts to education and public safety agencies that will require difficult decisions to be made. This is a defining moment for Roseville. The decisions made now by elected officials will shape and impact our future for decades to come. Now, more than ever, it is critical that those running for office bring not only experience, but also effective leadership and communication skills. As a business owner and a member of the city's Planning Commission, 2008 to 2016, I have a proven track record of listening to all sides of an issue, finding creative, inclusive solutions, and building common ground. People are hungry for fresh thinking, transparency, and accountability. I pledge to bring all of these qualities to City Hall. Please visit our campaign website at www.larsonforroseville.com. I greatly appreciate your consideration to vote for me on November 6th. And now, from Sarish Khan. Good evening, everyone, and my fellow candidates. First off, I would like to apologize for not being present at the Roseville Coalition of Neighborhood Association Candidate Forum. I am unable to attend because I am currently traveling abroad to present findings on a research project I was working on for Truro University. However, I will be looking forward to seeing all of you at future events. Secondly, I would like to thank the Roseville Coalition of Neighborhood Association for giving me the opportunity to make a statement and introduce myself to our community. I understand that many people do not know who I am, as this is my first time running for office. Here's a little about me. I was born in Oregon and moved to Roseville at the ripe age of 5. Since then, my family and I have been living here for the past 20 years. I started my educational career at Maidu Elementary and graduated from Granite Bay High School in 2007. After high school, I went to San Jose State University and got a bachelor's in political science during my time at SJSU. I was involved in many political advocacy and grassroots campaigns. Soon after graduating, I pursued a master's in public health with a concentration in community health from Truro University, California. While in graduate school, I worked closely with vulnerable populations by providing preventative healthcare services. This inspired me to continue my work with these populations by working in the nonprofit sector. Currently, I am a program manager for a nonprofit organization working with low-income and at-risk communities. I develop and implement public policy and prevention programs for substance abuse within the community. I successfully passed and implemented a policy to reduce drug accessibility and use on school campuses. I also created and launched a marijuana prevention program for at-risk youth to decrease drug use and increase awareness. I decided to run for Roseville City Council because I've always wanted to make a positive impact and difference in our community. Roseville is my home. It's the place I grew up and learned the true value of community and quality of life. Also, I want to show my appreciation and gratitude to the city that helped shape me. I plan on doing so by working together and listening to the voice of our community. I want to work on the current public health issues, maintain the quality of life by being fiscally conservative and innovative, and increase community engagement by bridging the gaps between the various demographics Roseville has. With a combination of my education and experience, I understand what it takes to bring change to a community. I know how to work with various stakeholders to make an impact and make change happen. If given the opportunity to be your city council member, I will bring a fresh perspective to innovate and inspire Roseville for a better and brighter tomorrow. Join me in inspiring Roseville together. Thank you for your time and good luck, my fellow candidates.
Would you please all rise for a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wonder, would you mind moving this a little bit closer out of the way so then I can see the candidates? I'll start by introducing our candidates, starting with Stephanie, and Stephanie Dement. And next to her is Krista Bernasconi, and then Pauline Rakucci, and and Bruce Deschel. That was my mistake, Bruce. I got out of order. So what I wanted to do is review the rules a little bit here in the interest of civil discourse as opposed to what we see at some of the presidential debates. We're going to not allow any questions to be asked to the candidates that are inflammatory or off topic or personal. And then we have also asked the candidates not to answer in a way that's inflammatory or personal or off topic. We also have asked them to each make an opening statement limited to 3 minutes, and we really only have about 40 minutes to spend on your questions, and so we're going to be pretty strict on that. And then each candidate will be allowed to answer each question for 1 minute. And then at the end, we'll allow each candidate to make a closing statement for 2 minutes apiece. We ask that you save your any applause that you may have until the end, just in the interest of time. And we will be rotating through, having a different person answer first every time to keep it fair, and that's how we decided on how to do the opening statements as well. So when we drew straws for opening statements, what we did was chose, let's see, Pauline Rakucci had the right number, so I guess you can go first.
Well, thank you. Thank you, RCONA, for putting this on, and the League of Women Voters to help assist. I'm Pauline Rakucci. I'm a lifelong resident of Roseville. And the question is, why do I want to run for city council? I want to run for city council because I want to serve our community. I want to serve our residents, and I want to serve our businesses. I want to continue to keep Roseville to be a healthy and prosperous community, and a safe community as well, so we can raise our family and work here and have a very happy life. What I bring here to this office is the fact that I've had the opportunity to be elected to council 4 terms and 2 terms as mayor. And in that time, I was able to work with council and with the community on 17 budgets. 17 budgets that had to be balanced. And those were during the good times when our community was very prosperous, the world was very prosperous, and when things were very difficult and during really depressed times. And yet the whole goal was to make sure that we have a community that was healthy and safe and for our community. And my goal is to continue to do that with my experience working with the community and working with other council members to continue to make Roseville what our businesses and what our people here want and deserve. Thank you.
Stephanie was next.
Hi, are we on? Good evening.
Nope.
Got it. The green button, folks. Good evening, and thank you, RCONA, and the Women's League of Voters, and our moderators, Randy Swissley and Pam Hart. Thank you very much. Why did you move to Roseville? Let me tell you why I moved to Roseville. I moved here for the fiscal responsibility, the wonderful, safe neighborhoods, and our quality of life. Just today, as I was taking my daughter to school, which I live about a block away from school, lucky me, I was talking to her about, what are her goals? What are her dreams? And she always says, Mama, I want to be a cowgirl veterinarian. So we talked about what are the resources right here in Roseville that we get to, enjoy today and that she can be a part of to help grow her dreams. Just the other day, yesterday actually, I picked up my son Jaden, he's 12. He was enjoying soccer practice at one of the local fields. And he was telling me all about practice and different drills that he had to do, and, you know, he said he had to do some adjustments. The ball was moving a lot faster, and I said, well, why is that, buddy? And he's like, well, they mowed the lawn. Duh. Okay. And so we talked about, you know, I picked him up from Becky Center just a few days ago from baseball practice, because he said fall ball. And we got to look at the new project that our Boy Scouts did, and the City of Roseville project. There was new sod and irrigation, which brings me to all the investments that we make in the city as quality of life investments that my family gets to enjoy and your family gets to enjoy. I am concerned about maintaining quality of life and maintaining the high level of public safety we have in our community. To do that, we need to invest in our police department and services our city offers. However, we must face our fiscal challenges. We have a few in our city, one being a very large unfunded liability, which is our pension fund. If we were to tackle this with Measure B taxes or a restricted tax and put that towards those funds, over 15 years, we would have the potential of saving $200 million. Again, let me just reiterate, that's $200 million that we could save by taking this plan of action. With that, our $19.5 million debt payment current today would then, after being paid off, would go back into our general fund to provide for services. I'm running to make sure we have fiscal discipline, to invest in our public safety so we can continue the quality of life in Roseville.
Thank you.
Great, item number 3. Lori, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Is a microphone going to pick me up without a microphone?
Use the microphone.
Use the microphone. Thank you, Honor. My name is Bruce Howell. A difficult last name. Visit my website. Whenever I do a conference call, I sign on by Bruce, right? The shark from Jaws. So I'm running for city council because I have an ethic for giving back. It's a privilege to give to the city. I've been on the planning commission now for 6 years. Prior to that, 2 years on the public utilities commission. And I enjoy it. I enjoy meeting the people. I enjoy reaching out and helping them understand how the city works. Did I thank the League of Women Voters? Thank you for your impartiality. This is a nonpartisan seat, so I want you to remember that. Our national politics are pretty partisan. So thank you for hosting this. Thank you. This is the first time the 4 of us have been together. We've been on the road with various organizations explaining why we want to run. So why I want to run is I want to give back. I want to work. I was raised with the ethic of work. I have experience. My experience is working for over 25 years with the private sector, representing small businesses and national companies. I remember when Susan Rohan first floated the idea to me of RCONA, and I went, oh, that's interesting. And you guys are the backbone of our community. Like our city council and like our commissions, you're the ombudsman. You're the folks who really help people understand that their government does work. And so I'm going to go to work for you. I'm going to bring my private sector experience of balancing a budget every year, experience of making difficult decisions that don't, frankly, they just don't distill down into a talking point. And most of you know me. I'm not a politician. I'm a worker. I look forward to working for you. I hope I earn your vote. Visit me at justbruce.net.
Good evening, and I want to thank you all for being here and spending your Tuesday night here, and also want to thank RCONA and the League of Women Voters. My name is Christopher Stoney, and I, like Pauline, am a Roseville native, and I lived here pretty much my whole life, except for when I was in the military. I served in the Navy, and I was stationed in Florida. So aside from that, you can do the math, and I've lived here for a long time, and I've seen Roseville grow quite a bit. I was talking to a gentleman tonight about things you used to do when you were kids that you can't do anymore. So let me just tell you a little bit about myself and my experience. I'm a Sac State graduate. I also graduated from Sierra College. I have worked in the local government and in the private sector, and for the last 6.5 years, I've owned my own business, which is located in downtown Roseville. I have served 2 terms as an elected school board member for Roseville City School District. And so that is 8 budget cycles that we have gone through, all balanced. And during that time, we were dispensing bond money, which helped pay for multi-purpose rooms of the schools that don't have one, as well as new district facilities. And those are all in place, and new generations will enjoy that and are enjoying that now. I have served the last 8 years as a planning commissioner for the city of Roseville, and that time we have helped our applicants streamline the process to be able to access city services, the permitting process, saving them time and money, and I think that's something that Bruce and I are proud that we've been able to do that and help the staff with that. And I should be remiss if I didn't mention that I have 11-year-old twins, boy-girl twins, and they are in middle school now. So that just tells you a little bit about me. I have served the nonprofit community and pretty much really every city that I have been in. I have, chaired the school board, the foundation school board, the planning commission, and most recently the Roseville Engage effort with CPAC. So I have quite a bit of experience, and I'd like to apply that as your planning commissioner. I think like all of us here, we love Roseville. We want to serve the citizens. We want to be able to convey our vision to the city manager to implement, and I'm really thankful to be here tonight. I'm thankful for the opportunity.
And you did mean as city council.
Okay, if anyone has, we get to move into the questions phase now. If anyone has a question that you have not yet turned in, would you like them to just bring them up to you?
Just raise their hand, the girls will pick up.
Oh, okay, there's some, there they go. See, it works just like that. So, thank you for being here. Also, let me check one more thing. Angela, can you see the time card? If Angela just flips it up in her lap? Is that okay? So yeah, that'll be acceptable. Okay, the first question is, what is your position on protecting Roseville's public safety, roads, and essential services measure, which is also known as Measure B, which will increase sales tax by 0.5%? And we'll start with Stephanie on this question.
So at the beginning of that question, if you could just restate it for me, please.
What's your position on the protecting Roseville's public
Thank you.
safety? Okay.
So my position on Measure B is I'm not for it as it's currently written. I would rather see it as a specific use sales tax, so we can, as I stated earlier, pay down our unfunded liabilities. But we also must invest in our public safety and our infrastructure. And we can do that with those services.
Krista.
My position on Measure B is I am fully supportive of it. For the last 9 months, three of the 4 of us were part of the CPAC, which is the Community Priorities Advisory Council or committee. And we spent those 9 months reviewing the 5 departments that pull from the general fund. And collectively, the majority felt that there were not significant savings that would get us to shore up the budget deficit that we have. And so we asked the city to study the feasibility of passing any sort of revenue opportunity, and the statistics came back and said that we'd have the best success in passing a general sales tax. And so I am supportive of it to ensure the quality of life in Roseville.
I also support Measure B, but I think it's important, and I think most of you recognize that the CPAC made 9 recommendations, looking at changing service models, looking at ways to increase volunteerism. And the critical aspect of Measure B is an oversight committee. It's the responsibility of the city council to make sure the money is spent in the appropriate place. The hurdle in California to get to a special tax is enormous. We saw that with Measure M. You saw that with Measure E, which the Sierra College bond, which just barely passed. And so a general purpose tax has the ability to give us the funding to go to the west side, where the folks that live in the west side and in Del Webb, we're stretched thin on firefighters, we're stretched thin on public safety and police. We need that. And that's why I support Measure B and the oversight committee that is associated with it.
Yeah, I'm normally not in favor of adding more taxes, but this one is really different. This is something that, as was mentioned before, the CPAC study, when I was on council looking at projections, what was happening, that there wasn't going to be enough funds with what we have right now. We have a great Galleria, we have a good auto mall, and that brings in proper sales tax, and we gain money with our property tax, but it's just not quite enough. The good part about this tax, if you want to talk about good, is the fact that it goes for all Roseville residents, and most of the money is actually, most of the people that buy things here in Roseville are from outside of Roseville, they're not Roseville residents. And it goes for police, and it goes for fire, and it goes for parks, and libraries, and infrastructure like your roads, and yes, it goes with paying for past social pensions, but it's for a lot of collective things that we need here in the city of Roseville.
Thank you. The next question will be answered first by Krista. If elected to City Council, what key priority areas do you intend to concentrate on? And what are some of the unique issues that Roseville faces?
Okay, so the first part, priorities.
If elected to City Council, what key priority areas do you intend to concentrate on? And what are some of the unique issues that Roseville faces?
If elected to City Council, my priorities will be really ensuring quality of life services for the city, which means the high standards that brought us all here and keep us here. As Pauline mentioned, our roads, our parks, police and fire, those services, maintaining those. I think it's important that the residents know that the staffing levels are less now than they were in 2007. And as Bruce mentioned, we're very light in some areas. In fact, I think if we knew how low some of the public safety coverage in certain parts of the city, we would all be very concerned about that. Unique issues, I think, is balancing our growth, particularly on the west side of town. I grew up on the east side, and I think that's important for us to watch. You know, we have people are not moving to that side as much, so I think that it's balancing our growth over the next 20 years.
Bruce?
Yeah, this is on. You already heard that public safety is a primary concern. I'm pleased to have the endorsement of the Roseville Chamber of Commerce Political Action Committee, North State BIA. I'm also pleased that my father-in-law is a retired Oregon State Trooper. So I've got a really solid background in public safety. Fiscal stability is key. We're 9 years into an economic expansion, and we need to be saving and be preparing for opportunities and the challenges that are ahead. And so creating that fiscal stability, making sure that the services that our folks have come to expect the city to provide are provided to them. And you know, as I think some folks have already said, we're a net importer of jobs. Those folks need to be protected. They need the police, you know, those businesses need the police protection. And so those are the top two priorities, along with addressing the homelessness issue we have here to solve.
I go with my fellow potential council members are saying, you know, it's really back to that safety and good stability of our government. And people came here to Roseville because also they felt safe. You don't go to your mall, you don't buy a house someplace if you don't think you're safe. we don't shop at places now if you don't feel they're safe. I want to continue to keep that up, keep our ratios are up. The same thing with our fire. And also make sure that we're safe in the fact that we're fiscally responsible and that we have that money and to be able to keep up all the amenities, again, which is police, fire, safety, and infrastructure for our community. And so with the financial stability.
The next question will be answered first.
Stephanie.
Oh, Stephanie.
Hi.
Remember me?
So our key priorities over the next few years, as many have stated here, public safety is, investing in our public safety is critical to our quality of life and our ability to have fiscal discipline while we are making plans and structuring our budget for a balanced budget. As we make those preparations for difficult decisions on how we restructure our services and reduce costs of those services so we can continue the quality of life items that we enjoy here in Roseville.
Great, thank you. The next question will be answered first by Bruce. How do you feel about growth and quality of life in the city of Roseville? Please define in a few words common sense planning and smart growth.
I have a question again.
How do you feel about growth and quality of life in the city of Roseville? Please define in a few words common sense planning and smart growth.
Sure, thanks for repeating the question. I think as both a planning commissioner and someone who worked for the Regional Building Industry Association, where I worked on collaborative processes on water, land use, infrastructure, Roseville is a shining example of good planning in the Sacramento region. And I think what a testament to that is, look at the quality of companies that we attract. Whether it be health, the new Adventist healthcare facility, whether it be Topgolf. Roseville is seen by national companies as a place to be. And smart growth is defined by careful planning and adherence to the zoning ordinance. But boy, Roseville's doing a terrific job. Otherwise, we would not be getting these types of companies. And if we don't just not maintain it, but proactively move forward, we're going to lose that advantage.
I had the opportunity of working on our specific plans in Roseville. And what that is, it's a guideline of how you plan your cities. Where are your streets, where are your schools, where are your walkways, the job housing ratio, the whole plan. It was almost like a framework for the city. And that really made a difference that we kept up and we used those guidelines as literally our Bible. And that's important that we have that. I didn't mention earlier, I've also been on the planning commission too, which is integral to me being on council, because it really gives you those guidelines about specific plans and what that does for growth. It makes a plan of growth and how to do it logically and make sure you have all the amenities and things that you need.
Stephanie?
Smart growth is working within the guidelines that we have. Like we've said before, we have our general and specific plan. But as we grow in sustainability, we have economic and development plans to grow the city, attract new business, retain the business that we have, to always keep maintaining the quality of life that we have here in Roseville. We're talking about quality of life. We have a plethora of services that we provide, and we have lots of recreation facilities that we get to enjoy. And with that comes with our smart growth that we all get answering the three parts of smart growth. Our smart growth comes from the vision that's been laid before us and our builders, and having the multi-use from high density housing to low density housing. So we are planning from water, building, and everything in between to make us the most efficient and quality of life driven city. So
I believe that all of us in this room, that Roseville embodies quality of life, and that's what drove us all to be here. To me, the foundation for that is our schools and our school districts, and we know that that drives rooftops, and our public safety. So to me, that those are the foundations for us. How do we pay for those things? We pay for those with growth, and then what frustrates us sometimes is the growth, and we have congested traffic, and maybe the perception of lack of resources. And I think that's where common sense planning comes in. To me, common sense planning means that we have the resources available to the residents when they need them.
Okay. The next question will be answered first by Pauline. Proposition 64 legalized recreational marijuana under state law and enacted certain sales and cultivation taxes. Roseville has strict restrictions about the sale and growth of marijuana in comparison to Sacramento. Do you agree with our strict restrictions, or should we do more?
I'm totally in favor of our strict restrictions. I was on council when we did that. I'm a registered nurse, and I've worked a lot with young people, and I can't say 100% marijuana is a gateway drug, but I just don't want to, I want to make sure that it's there medicinally when people use it for that, and that we keep it with strict guidelines. And so I would keep what we have. We looked at legislation that was at a state level, if we had to make any changes, and we did just conservatively as what we needed to do. But I'm not in favor of doing, having storefronts here or doing anything in that respect. I think the way the city has handled it is very good.
Stephanie?
I am not for, I'm glad we'll keep our restrictions. That would be my preference. I don't think that adds to our public safety, our ability to keep our community safe with the traffic flow and what that brings. It doesn't add to our quality of life. If my neighbor has a few plants in their backyard and I'm having to tell my children what that smell is, I don't find that to be acceptable. And it provides a burden to us as individuals and residents. So it burdens our fiscal soundness, and I don't see that being a good practice for the city of Roseville.
I also agree with our strict ordinances the city has in place. I think that when we think of the quality of life, marijuana doesn't come into place for us as parents, grandparents, and I don't think it's anything that we would want to kind of environment we want to foster for our children. And I think that all we need to do is look at what has been done in neighboring counties and cities like Sacramento, and that will be a perfect example of why we would not want to lessen the restrictions.
So we put the safeguards in place here in Roseville, and we have to be vigilant, because I was having a conversation with the Placer County Agricultural Commission. I represent agriculture in my daily job. And as I think a lot of you know, the county went through a process on cannabis cultivation. He enlightened me to something that I think we need to be vigilant about. There are dispensaries, and there is the ability to deliver. While we put in safeguards, there's also the ability to deliver into the city, and we need to figure out how to address that. I agree with my colleagues here. The safeguards we've put into place are important. I'll give another shout out to my father-in-law. He was on the marijuana eradication unit in Oregon when he was on an Oregon State Trooper. So he's seen, like Pauline mentioned, oops, stop. I look down. All right, takes 10 seconds off my next.
All right. Stephanie will answer the next question first. Although the position of Roseville City Council member is nonpartisan, does partisan politics play a role in the election process?
It is a nonpartisan race. It's up to the individual to decide if that's what they're going to define, how they're going to define a candidate based on where they fall, if Republican, non-state, independent, or Democrat. We all get to individually choose what our values are. My values do align on the conservative side. I am a Republican, and if those values come with a lot of great things, and all of the values for what we want to do as a city council person aren't defined by an R, a D, or an I, but as individual, independent thinkers that will go out and be a voice of reason for making changes that are fit for our residents of Roseville.
Well, I think this is kind of funny because as a candidate, you can only imagine the questions that we get asked. It's very enlightening. And so I think that, I think for some people it does. It does matter how you are registered. And I think that that is rooted in our own philosophy about how we feel, how things should be funded and the government's role in that. I also tend to be conservative as well, and I believe that government is not the answer for most of our residents and our business owners. So to answer the question, I would say for most people it does play a role.
Bruce?
Thanks. So most of my Democratic friends think I'm a Republican. Most of my Republican friends think I'm a Democrat. As you could probably tell, I'm open-minded and independent. I am registered Republican. I'm a fiscal conservative. I spend my daytime fighting against unreasonable regulation and fee increases. I bring that kind of ethic I will bring that kind of ethic to the city council. But I think you have to represent the community and represent everyone. And so, while my party registration is Republican, I don't think that really plays in me representing you on the city council.
I think as a council member, we work with all the people and look at all the issues. I'm registered Republican, I'm conservative. When I was on council, I spent lots of my time working on water and legislative issues, water and electricity, and trying to get things better for the city that were more cost effective and they made a logical sense. Was that a Republican thing or a Democratic thing? I don't know. It's just the right thing to make sure that it was fair for our community. And that's the way I look at things. Trying to make sure that we use our money wisely in our city and that to bring the best of amenities in that way, because I'm going to be a good steward of our finances and I want to do the best I can, and that's how I look at it, what I do.
Krista will answer the next question first. One of the first tasks of the new council will be to direct the update to the city's charter. What provisions do you think are in need of re-examination in the city's fundamental governance document?
That was a great question. And I don't know a lot about it, quite honestly. I know that there will be the potential to potentially have our councils divided into districts or represented by districts. I think that might be something that we can look at, and that's something that I would like to learn more about.
Bruce?
Yeah, well, the first thing is we need to form a committee, and I don't mean I mean a citizens committee, because the 5 folks in the city staff who are responsible for administering the city aren't the only voice. We should hear from you on what charter changes should be made, and so I think that's the first thing. I don't have anything specific. You know, as Krista said, there is some sentiment about being represented by districts, it needs an examination. So I don't really have a great question other than to, if I'm a city council member, I'll be reaching out to you if a committee's not formed, informing you about what's on the table and seeking your input. I'll give my 10 seconds back.
I remember just a little bit, I think I wasn't on council at that time when they were doing, when this came up, But it occurs every 10 years, and they do have a committee. And they look at what prior decisions they've made and look if there's going to have any changes or what's new to look at. And as we mentioned, the first thing that came to mind is I remember them talking about districting at that time. And a lot of times, mainly because our city's getting bigger, and even when we all run to try to do things, go door to door, or how much things cost, that's it, you know, and how can we be good representatives for all of you and do it the right way. But it'll be a process, and look at what are some of the current issues, and that's not all I can remember.
I'm not very familiar, to be frank and honest here, about the charter, but I did know about the redistricting and opportunities there. But I would definitely look to the experts here in the community to help bring around the table. We have a lot of experts in a lot of different areas that can help define what are the priorities. And so I think Bruce had mentioned, you know, bringing a group together and others that bring the quality people that know the and define their own goals, and they're experts in their fields that they do. But they're experts in their fields. We're not all experts in everything, so I think we bring a collective group of individuals together to make those through and look through what all of these items are for our charter to exemplify, and how do we put them through as objectives to attain.
Bruce will answer the next question first. Roseville's utilities make up a significant percentage of the citywide budget, and they're exposed to expansive regulatory requirements and proposals like deeper water conservation, added ratepayer costs for statewide water quality objectives, and new targets for renewable energy. What are your plans for protecting water supply and the viability of Roseville Electric's assets?
What a softball question for a guy who works for Northern California Water Association. I do water quality. The city of Roseville, along with a lot of others in the region, are a proponent of an integrated water supply. That includes surface storage. That includes a new diversion of the Sacramento River that will give us resiliency. We have one of the best, by the way, Pauline and Krista and I know this, we have one of the best conservation ordinances for commercial development. We're very proactive with that. And yes, utility regulation, electric utility regulation is growing in the sense that, even things like 9/11 and protecting those critical infrastructure is essential.
I don't know who's next.
Who's next? Who's next?
Pauline?
Oh, good.
All right. We'll get this down.
I'm really a tiger on water and electricity. I spent most of my time doing that and working on legislation that absolutely made no sense, because we have a good water system. We had our water contract. We work closely with Placer County Water Agency. We're looking for aquifer recharge. I worked on the thing with Sacramento. We work regionally in our area to make sure that we keep our water here in Placer County and Sacramento County, and to be good stewards. And we have waters in our reservoirs and water from our snowpacks, and making sure that we use it, we can share it with others, but we make sure people don't take our water away. And it's increasingly more difficult all the time to do that. But I'm willing to go back, because it's like going back to the war.
So I know that the two of you guys have already talked about it, but we do have our reservoirs. We have our River Arc project, and the partnership with PCWA to allow us to have the water resources that we need to maintain sustainable levels. And any building that takes place, our infrastructure is already done through our planning here. So we make sure all of our residents have water and projected to have water by these planning measures. I look forward to learning more about our electric regulations and exactly more details on the question that you're asking on the specifics of the electric regulations that are coming down, and look forward to talking to you more about those at a future date.
So as residents, I think that we should be very proud of the work that our council and the folks at PCWA have made over time to secure our water rights well into the future that will cover the growth of Roseville. And so even though conservation is an important key for that, there's been so much work that's been done, and I think I credit Polly for a lot of her work and overtime on the council working on that. As far as Roseville Electric goes, that's also, I feel like, a shining example in our community and in the electric industry as well. The fact that we have a reliable, it's efficient, and it's a driving economic force to businesses that would want to locate here in terms of the rates. So I think that that's another example that Roseville's leading the way both in water and electric.
Pauline, you can answer the next question first. Should Roseville spend money trying to get a four-year university to open up downtown? How much is too much or enough?
I think Roseville could look, and we have in the past at universities. This area is really known for a couple things: a lot of our sports and a lot of our education. And Sac State has been looking to be here. I think to show what properties we have and talk to them. We've had universities, we're looking at sites in Roseville. And so keep an open door, because education is a key, to our future. So that's a good thing. And I would say continue what we're doing and seeing if there's people who, excuse me, we've done it with Sac State, we've done it with other universities, and seeing how we can help in that process.
The four-year opportunity to bring a university here has the opportunity to provide new jobs, retain new businesses here in Roseville. It also gives us the opportunity to have our graduates and retain our graduates. We have a retention problem. We graduate a lot of folks in our area, and we are not able to retain them here in our environment. So this, by bringing new education, we bring new businesses and the ability to retain them. It's a wonderful economic engine to our area. It brings new rooftops. It brings more organic growth to our downtown. As the first spotted slate is right here in our downtown Roseville. Having Sierra College right across the street and having their EMT services has been an excellent asset to our community. I would look forward to working with the universities ahead.
I would agree with my colleagues here. I think that the city's investment, whether that's a public-private partnership or continuing to explore the feasibility of a private university or public university in downtown Roseville, is well spent for all the reasons that Stephanie mentioned, the growth in jobs, the opportunity for students, keeping our educated folks here, and just for the feet on the street and the economic development that would come along with that sort of project.
There's cost and value. And as our city becomes a more robust city, our economic development strategy should include higher education. So I agree with all of my colleagues here. We've had a lot of opportunities, both within our city limits and just outside of our city limits. And I think much like the hospitals and health facilities are being built in our region, it's part of our growing and maturing and the next generation city. And we have to look forward, and I think educational facilities, educational institutions are very much a part of that.
Stephanie will answer the next question first. Because millions of dollars are at stake for large development projects, how will you deal with the pressure by developers when and if community interests are different than developer desires?
So as we all have different opinions on how we have the desire to build our projects and work with our developers, it really comes down to our specific plan. And is it in there, and is it in our growth pattern, and within the confines of what we have. We can have pushy conversations, but there's really no need. We have a structure and a specific plan to, I can't say that word tonight, I'm really sorry, guys. Specific plan to follow to help us dive deep into development projects, to be prudent to our residents, to sustain the quality of life and the public safety that we have here in Roseville. So as long as we're following the specific plan guidelines, I think we do our citizens justice.
The second.
Krista.
So as I've learned, spending 8 years on the planning commission, we know that development needs to pay its own way, and Roseville has towed the line on that. We know that development helps pay for everything else, all the other city amenities. Rooftops unfortunately don't do that, so for the rest of the question, I'm sorry.
It's the developers, and if their priorities differ from the citizens, how you would handle that?
So, I think it's important that we, as representatives of our residents, always listen to what the residents have to say. That's what we're here for, as the representation. There will always be pressure, outside pressures, and I've experienced that as a school board member when we were changing boundaries or doing something that was seen as unfavorable, and I think we have to work towards a compromise.
Bruce.
Thanks. So let's take the D word out of this. Sitting on the planning commission, sometimes we get to fulfill the vision of the general plan by approving subdivision maps. And sometimes we have some pretty challenging issues, like Dutch Brothers on Douglas Boulevard. And at that point in time, we have to talk and balance out what the citizens' interests are, and we have to work collaboratively to find a solution, whether it be traffic or other things. Folks on the west side, you ready for a gas station? Are you ready for shopping on the west side? Are you ready for your children not to have to be bused to Oakmont? Those are all part of the vision that we have to fulfill in West Roseville. My experience working with federal and state agencies will help overcome the obstacles of regulatory agencies.
What I've done in the past when those things occur, like my colleagues here who've been on the planning commission, we take those concerns both from the resident and even the developer in mind. Greatly, it's real important. That's why we have neighborhood meetings, that's why we have special meetings, so that we understand what those concerns are. Before it goes to council, it goes to the planning commission, and then goes to some of the other commissions, so that we can really vent out what the issues are. And then by the time it comes to us, we have to make a decision. And like this talk has been mentioned, if it's a specific plan, we want to see how do those guidelines differ from what we're talking about? Or do we need to make a little bit of a change? And if we do, what are the criteria for that? So for me, it's to make sure that whatever the issue is, that we're seeing both sides and understanding and what are our opportunities of working.
Krista will be the first one to answer this next question. Which city organizations are supporting you at this time?
What city organizations are supporting us? I'm not sure what city organization is.
I'm assuming what they mean is who's endorsed you.
Okay. So out of the endorsement process, I would say, of groups, the Roseville Chamber Political Action Committee has endorsed me. The North State Building Industry Association has endorsed me. I have a majority of elected officials within the county. All of the current council members have endorsed me. I know that we just did another interview. I'm blanking on who else. Yeah, but for all of us as candidates, I can just tell you that we have been on the circuit. This is the first time that we have had had a forum like this, but we have been interviewed by groups over time.
Oh, thank you, Krista.
Who's that?
Bruce.
All right, let me start with what I feel are the really important endorsements. So I have a lot of community folks who served with Krista and I and Stephanie on the Engage Roseville process who are supporting me, and that to me is big. That's huge. I have, as Krista does, the North State Building Industry Association, and after working for them for 12 or 13 years, if I didn't get that, then I was in real trouble. I also have, and one of the most I'm most proud of, is I have the Labor's Local Council 185. Those are the folks who you see holding up the signs, working on our road projects, building our bridges. Those are the laborers every day that you pass that are building California's infrastructure. Last night we were, all of us I think were before the firefighters, and then Pauline said waiting for the answer to that. BIA, Local Laborers Council, Chamber, done.
Thank you.
Very, very similar to what you just heard, Chamber of Commerce Political Action Committee, the BIA, North State BIA, my council members, current council members, the Mayor of Roseville, Susan Rohan, Scott, John Allard, and Sheriff, retired Sheriff Ed Bonner. And there's others, many community leaders that have supported me. And we're still being interviewed by a lot of different organizations right now.
What an impressive list. Hi. Well, my group doesn't come from the establishment. There are different individuals that I'm past in council and current council. Mine come from Mr. McClintock, Mr. Nielsen, and Kurt Mueller, and many other businesswomen and parents that advocate and support and endorse my activities. And
It? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Bruce will be the first one to answer this question. Many cities in California are underwater with their state retirement trust funds that meet their promised payouts to retirees. And these cities are now paying more money each year toward retired workers than they are to current employee salaries that provide services. According to our city's financial report and recently retired city manager, we could end up in the same situation before too much longer. How will you deal with the rising costs of retirees without sacrificing salaries that attract talent to our city?
Well, thanks for that question. It's just on California, it's national. The city council had the vision to put in place some measures with respect to, and it was very controversial, and took courage for the city council members to begin to have the employees begin to pay more toward their retirement. They set up a process where they set the salaries at the median and extend out now the period of time for step increases. So those things will help to be mitigated. You can look back, but I think you have to look forward at the measures that were put in place beginning, I think, 2010 and 2013, and really look at the financial and economic, the financial forecast going forward. And of course, part of not just Measure B here in Roseville, but throughout the region is increasing sales tax, which, as you all know, we have the lowest sales tax per minute.
Actually, the city of Roseville has put in place a process, and it just was discussed here with Bruce, that the employees pay a lot of their portions of their, like their pensions or insurance. It's a very different world than what they had in the past. With the changes that they've made, they believe in about, it's a while, it's out there, but by 2038, you'll really see some changes. Is it now? No. But it's going in the right direction. And the new employees have a different benefit package that that's different. And we are at median, be nice if we could give people a little bit more money, but sometimes we just have to live within our means and what's going on right now. And so and keep attracting quality employees. It's kind of a balancing act. We want to do it right.
Stephanie?
I'm sorry, you can just repeat the last part of the question for me, please.
Sure. How will you deal with the rising costs of retirees without sacrificing salaries that attract talent to our city?
With Proposition B, there's an opportunity to pay down our pension deficit. I quoted some numbers earlier. We're paying down that pension debt that allows opportunities to have money come back into our general fund to pay our fair median wage to our city employees. There are opportunities to reduce our cost of services while still remaining a viable city and retaining the quality of services that we expect here in Roseville.
Okay, then this will be the last question. Pauline will answer it first.
Krista.
Oh, gosh darn it.
I'll go quickly.
No.
From my understanding of this, unless new legislation is passed, there is nothing a municipality can do to rescind any of the retirees' pensions or benefits that were promised to them. And I think that the city has made huge steps going forward for new employees that are brought on in terms of paying 100% of their portion of their retirement. And I think that starting at median or hiring at median and the longer that you go on the pay scale is very important. I would like to see if Measure B passes that we do dedicate some of those funds towards paying off the debt. In terms of attracting employees, I think that it's important. It's just not all about the paycheck. It's the quality of life. And if somebody wants to go work somewhere else and for the perception of more money, then I say goodbye.
Thanks, Krista. Okay, Pauline will answer this last question first, and then we'll go into closing statements. How do you think Bonnie Gore's vacant position should be filled?
Well, for us, we're going to be elected and for two positions. Then whoever's on there with the other council members are going to decide that. What I've seen in the past, they're looking to appoint someone. Whether they ask people in the community, some people who are interested, or look at who's been running in the past elections. It'll be up to the next council to decide. But it would be for me to see who's been active in the community and what can bring good talent for the council in the coming years.
Stephanie.
As Pauline mentioned, the decision does go to the council in January. The individual attributes that would be looked at would be, are they, again, active in our community? Are they engaged? And are they thought leaders? Can they think independently and work together in collaborative efforts to come up with solutions? So those are some attributes as a collectiveness that I think would be attractive to our next appointed city council person.
In terms of how that will be filled, I would hope that there would be an application process and some sort of vetting process, but in terms of how exactly it would be done, I cannot project, and I would assume that the new council will work together to find the right solution.
So the how has been answered. There will be 4 city council members who will make an appointment. And those city council members will have a difficult decision. I think that, I hope that the city council members who make that decision look at the candidates who have already committed to working and engaging the community and choose from those who have chosen to step forward, sacrifice their time, and run for the office.
Thank you very much. We'll now move into closing statements, and Stephanie will go first. There'll be 2 minutes allowed for each candidate.
Thank you. Thanks again for having us here this evening. But quality of life starts with retaining and attracting businesses that will bring community jobs and opportunities to buy their first home. Roseville is currently ranked 8th in the nation for being first home buyer. First-time home buyer opportunity. Being ranked in the 8th in the nation is pretty spectacular, if you ask me. Residents get to enjoy our restaurants, retails, and diverse recreational opportunities. That's a quality of life I can stand behind. Live, work, play sounds really great. For me, live, work, play, and raising my family is a quality of life and why I'm here at Roseville. I'm committed to being responsible in spending and borrowing, keeping our costs of services low, and we prioritize our community's needs. I'm committed to balancing the budget and paying off our unfunded liabilities. I'm committed to our safety and supporting our law enforcement and emergency responders, and committed to maintaining our quality of life and work towards fiscal responsibility and public safety. As our city grows and changes, so too must our leadership.
Well, I just want to thank you all for having us. I feel like at some point we should have gotten a distraction. We're all being very kind up here. I just want to express my gratitude towards you all for putting this together. I hope that you have been able to learn about all of us and the different attributes that we bring here. I think it's really important as a candidate that this is the vetting process. I remember years ago, the Clutch County reporter at the elections department told me so many seats go empty because people just don't raise their hands. And so that really also got me thinking too, that this is part of the democracy. So I look forward to the opportunity to serve. I hope that you have been able to see some of the leadership qualities that I have and the potential that I have, and I'm really looking forward to the opportunity.
So, first of all, I want to thank my wife, Shelley. She joined us here tonight, and I'll try to do this in 30 seconds because she hasn't eaten. But she looked at the RCONA map, and she said, "You're going to represent all of those people?" And I said, "Yes, I'm going to represent all of those people. From Johnson Ranch to the west side, from Hillsborough, all of those people. And I will work for all of those people if elected to the city council." We can't just maintain our quality of life. We have to be active and protect our quality of life. We have to fund public safety, and we have to fix our roads, and we have to be courageous. I'm independent and open-minded, and I'm not scripted, so a lot of you know I tend to go off script sometimes. But I can promise you this. I'm not going to wait for you to reach out to me. I'm going to be reaching out to you. My 3 things on my campaign literature are engaged, experience, my private sector experience, and working for us, working for the city. So that's what you get with me if I'm on the city council. A frank conversation. I'm open-minded. I don't know everything, and I learn something new every day.
My goal to be on council is to serve our residents and our businesses, to be here for you. And I'm not going anywhere. I've lived here all my life. I love Roseville. I like doing a lot of things. I have grandchildren, children, police officer, firefighters, a son that's fighting the Delta fire now. So I'm in it for the long run. I've had that opportunity to be on council and done many different, I've done budgets during very good times, very bad times. I think that helps me go forward to see how I can lead, in the future. I've had the opportunity working with council to bring the Galleria to Roseville, the Automobile to Roseville. I'm not alone. None of us could do anything alone without the rest of the council and the rest of the community, and I'm very thankful for that. But it's brought us to a good point and good businesses in Roseville. I want to do the same thing and continue. What the legacy of other council members have done in the past, what we can do in the future to be even better than we are now. and be constantly vigilant, because what we have can be easily taken away from the state, the federal government. They're there at our shoulders all the time. And I want to be there to help, to keep us the best we can for our current residents, my children, grandchildren, your friends, and future generations that we don't even know of. I want them to know Roseville, that we care here in 2018 to do the very best.
Great, I appreciate it. I'd like to conclude by telling you that I've been moderating city council forums for about 10 years. I don't know if I've ever been to a forum that was so respectful, and the questions were so insightful. I left good questions on the table here because we ran out of time, but I really want to thank everyone sincerely, and I'm happy that you are probably the most influential city in the county that I live. Thank you very much for having us.
I'd also like to thank the candidates for coming tonight, the League of Women Voters, my buddy Warner for helping me put this together, and the board members. But we have 3 high school students in the audience that helped tonight: McKenna, Kat, and Faith. And I think it's important that we include them. I think it's important that we include our future tax base in what's going on. So thank you, girls, for showing up. And thank the audience. Thank you for
We have brochures, I think many of us.
That's right. The candidates have their campaign material in the back. Please feel free to talk to them. So. Yes.